What if the driver you have been babying off the tee is the exact club costing you 30 yards and half your fairways? I spent 4 seasons fighting a wild slice with my driver, and the fix had nothing to do with swinging harder. Stick around, because tip number 9 is the one adjustment that took my average drive from 218 to 251 yards. Measured on a Foresight GC3 launch monitor at a public range outside Council Bluffs, Iowa, and almost nobody teaches it correctly. We're covering all 13 basics today, in the exact order that fixed my ball flight, so don't skip around or you'll miss the piece that makes the rest work. Before you touch your grip or your backswing, check where your feet are pointing, because most golfers aim 10 to 15 degrees left of target without knowing it. Lay one club down, pointing at your target, and a second club against your toes, then step back and look. Dr. Sasho Mackenzie's biomechanics work at St. Francis Xavier University shows that misaligned feet force compensations in the downswing, usually an over-the-top move where the shoulder and arm pull the club across the ball from outside to in. That path puts side spin on the ball, and with a driver's low loft, around 9 to 10.5 degrees on most modern heads, that side spin turns into a wide, sweeping curve instead of a gentle fade. Here's the common mistake. Golfers who slice tend to aim further left to compensate, which only steepens the over-the-top path and makes matters worse, like steering into a skid on an icy parking lot in Omaha. Instead, close your stance slightly, meaning your front foot sits a touch closer to the target line than your back foot, maybe an inch or two, about the width of a phone laid on its side. This encourages an inside path on the way down. Try this drill on the range. Hit 5 balls lined up 10 yards left of target, then 5 lined up 10 yards right, similar to the fairway angles you'd face on the par 4 opening hole at Pebble Beach's Dunes course, and watch how the curve changes each time. That feedback teaches your body the connection between setup and ball flight faster than any verbal cue. Your alignment sets the table, but where the ball sits between your feet is what determines attack angle, and that's the piece most amateurs never think to check. Ball position with a driver is not the same as with your irons, and treating it that way silently drains distance from every tee shot. For irons, you want a slightly descending strike, so the ball sits closer to center. But a driver needs an ascending strike, hitting the ball on the upswing. And researchers at TrackMan, using data compiled from tour and amateur sessions worldwide, found that every 1 degree increase in positive attack angle adds roughly 1 to 1.5 yards of carry when paired with the right spin rate. To get that upward strike, position the ball off the inside of your lead heel, not center stance like your 7 iron. That's roughly 4 to 5 inches inside your front foot, about the length of a golf tee turned sideways twice. A common mistake is placing the ball too far back, which forces a downward strike with a driver, adding spin and killing distance, similar to hitting a 3 iron off the tee at a windy course like Bandon Dunes in Oregon. I made this exact mistake for 2 years, playing the ball too far back, because that's how I'd always set up my irons. And my spin rate sat near 3,900 RPM, well above the 2,200 to 2,300 RPM window that tour averages show for best carry. When I moved the ball forward and let my spine tilt away from target at address, my spin dropped near 2,600 RPM and I picked up 14 yards in one range session. Check this yourself by drawing a line across your stance with an alignment stick. Ball position alone won't add distance, though, if your spine angle at setup is fighting against it, which is a mistake nearly every golfer with a slice is also making. Stand in front of a mirror at address with your driver and check your shoulders, because if they're level, you're set up wrong before you even swing. Your trail hand sits lower on the grip than your lead hand, which naturally should tip your trail shoulder down and your spine slightly away from the target, maybe 10 to 15 degrees of tilt. This spine tilt allows the club to approach the ball from below the swing plane's low point, creating that upward strike we just covered. The Titleist Performance Institute has measured that golfers with less than 5 degrees of spine tilt at address almost always show negative attack angles with the driver, meaning they're hitting down on a club designed to be hit up on. A useful visual. Imagine setting up like you're going to skip a stone sidearm across the water at a lakeside course such as Whistling Straits along Lake Michigan. That slight lean back is close to correct. The common mistake here is keeping your head and spine too vertical, copying an iron setup, which again produces that steep descending blow. To feel it correctly, take your setup, then let your trail shoulder drop about 2 inches, roughly the height of a golf ball stacked on a tee, before you start your takeaway. Do this in front of a phone camera and check the shoulder line against a level object like a fence rail or door frame behind you. Spine tilt gives your swing room to work on plane, but plane alone won't rescue you if grip pressure is choking off club head speed before you ever start back. Grip your driver right now like you're trying to strangle it, then compare that to holding it the way you'd hold a tube of toothpaste you don't want to burst. Most amateurs grip somewhere around 7 or 8 out of 10 in pressure, but biomechanist Dr. Stephen Nesbitt's swing studies, published through the National Strength and Conditioning Association's Golf Research Division, show club head speed drops measurably as forearm tension rises, because tight forearms restrict wrist hinge and slow the release through impact. A pressure around 3 to 4 out of 10 lets your wrists hinge freely and unhinge explosively, which is where real speed comes from, not muscle. Here's a number worth remembering. Fitting data compiled by club manufacturers suggests every 1 mph of club head speed adds close to 2.5 yards of carry with a driver. So, a looser grip that buys you 3 extra mph could mean 7 or 8 more yards without swinging any harder. The common mistake is gripping tighter as a reaction to hitting bad shots, which is backwards. Tension creates the very inconsistency you're trying to fix. Try this on the range. Hit 10 drives, gripping at what feels like a 7, then 10 more at what feels like a 3, and track ball speed if you have any kind of launch monitor or swing speed radar. Even an entry-level swing caddy device works fine, the kind you might find at a practice facility near Myrtle Beach's crowded golf corridor. You'll likely see both distance and dispersion improve with the lighter grip. A soft grip means nothing, though, if your setup routine takes 45 seconds and lets doubt creep in, and that mental leak quietly costs accuracy off the tee. Quick pause. Everything we just walked through, the swing faults, the mental errors, the wasted strokes, it's all broken down in one place, the Golfer's Bible. This edition packs 101 course-tested fixes across the no-fluff page count, built for real weekend golfers, not tour pros. Grab it now, and you'll also get the second book, free, the Score Drop Roadmap, mapped out to help you apply those fixes fast. Golf seasons don't wait around for you to figure it out on your own. Link in the description, QR code on screen. Stop repeating the same round. Start owning it. Watch any tour player on television and time their routine from behind the ball to impact. It's almost always between 20 and 30 seconds, consistent within a second or two every single time. Sports psychologist Dr. Bob Rotella's work with tour professionals emphasizes that routine consistency reduces conscious interference during the swing, giving your practiced motion room to run without your brain second-guessing mid-swing. A rushed or wildly inconsistent routine invites tension, and tension we already covered kills speed and accuracy both. Build a simple 3-step routine. Stand behind the ball and pick a small target, like a specific tree or yardage marker, not just the fairway. Picture the narrow tree-lined chute off the tee at Augusta National's 10th hole as an example of a target demanding precision. Take one practice swing feeling the tempo you want, then walk in, set your feet, and swing within about 8 to 10 seconds of settling in. The common mistake is standing over the ball too long, which is roughly 15 seconds of standstill, plenty of time for doubt about a water hazard on the right or out of bounds stakes on the left, to creep into your head and change your swing mid-motion. I used to take almost a full minute per tee shot during my first 2 years playing, thinking more thought equaled more care. But my miss pattern got worse, not better, because I was overthinking the mechanics instead of trusting them. Time yourself on your next range session with your phone's stopwatch and aim for under 25 seconds total. A locked-in routine matters, but the next question is what you're doing with your practice swings themselves, because most golfers waste them rehearsing an entirely different motion. Here's something almost nobody checks. Is your practice swing the same speed and shape as your real swing, or is it just loose arm waving? High-speed camera comparisons done by golf instructor and biomechanics researcher Dr. Young-Hoo Kwon found that many amateur golfers swing their practice motion at roughly 70% of the tempo and 80% of the range of motion compared to their actual shot, meaning the rehearsal teaches the body nothing useful about the real swing to come. If your practice swing doesn't reach the same shoulder turn and same tempo, you're training a completely different motion than the one that matters. Fix this by taking your practice swing right next to the ball, same width stance, same tempo count, and try to brush the grass at the bottom, feeling the same speed you intend to deliver at impact. The way you might rehearse a shot into the tight, sloped green on the par 3 17th at TPC Sawgrass. A useful number. Average backswing to downswing tempo ratio among elite players is close to 3-to-1, 3 units of time going back for every 1 unit coming down, as measured in Dr. Kwan's tempo studies using motion capture sensors. Count 1, 2, 3 going back and 1 coming down during your practice swing, then repeat that same count on the real shot. The common mistake is practice swings done at half speed with a lazy wrist hinge, then suddenly swinging full effort at the ball, which creates a jump in tension your body hasn't rehearsed. A matching practice swing builds trust in the motion, though none of it matters if your grip itself is set up wrong at the hands, the very next fundamental to check. Look down at your lead hand on the grip right now, because if you see 0 or 1 knuckle, your grip is likely too weak to let the club face release naturally through impact. A neutral to slightly strong grip, where you can see 2 to 2.5 knuckles on your lead hand, according to teaching data compiled by longtime instructor Hank Haney, allows the forearms to rotate through impact so the face returns square instead of staying open. An open face at impact, even by 4 or 5 degrees, is one of the biggest contributors to a wild ballooning curve, because driver loft combined with an open face adds massive side spin. Grab your driver right now and check both hands. Lead hand knuckles visible, trail hand covering the lead thumb comfortably, thumbs pointing roughly down the shaft's right side for a right-handed golfer. The common mistake is a grip so weak the face fights to close, forcing golfers to flip their hands at the ball in a manual, poorly timed attempt to square things up, which is inconsistent by nature since timing changes shot to shot, much like trying to close a heavy storm door at the last second every single time. Instead, build the release into the grip itself, so your natural forearm rotation does the squaring for you. No manipulation needed. Try this drill. Hit 10 shots focusing only on feeling your forearms rotate through impact, like turning a doorknob, and watch the ball flight straighten out. Grip only sets the stage though, because even a strong grip won't save you if your swing path is still cutting across the ball from outside in. The deepest root of the problem we haven't addressed yet. Picture your swing path as a clock face looking down at the ball from above, and most slicers are swinging from about 11 o'clock outside toward 5 o'clock, cutting across the target line instead of down it. TrackMan's combined amateur and tour database shows the average path for a slicer sits around 4 to 5 degrees outside in, while tour pros with a driver average closer to 1 to 3 degrees inside out. That difference in path is the single biggest reason recreational golfers curve the ball hard right and tour players draw it slightly. Here's a drill that fixes this fast. Place a head cover or an empty water bottle about a foot outside your ball on your target line extension, then try to swing without hitting it. If you're coming over the top, you'll clip it every time, which gives instant physical feedback no verbal cue can match. Similar to the kind of narrow, tree-guarded tee shot you'd face at Bethpage Black on Long Island. The common mistake is trying to fix the curve by aiming further left, which we covered back in tip 1, but the real fix lives in the downswing sequence itself, specifically starting the downswing with your lower body and hips instead of your arms and shoulders. Watch your hips. If they start rotating toward target before your arms drop, the path shallows out naturally. I practiced the head cover drill for 15 minutes a day for 2 weeks, and my path went from 6 degrees outside in to nearly neutral. Path alone won't fully fix things, though, if your club face is still open relative to that path at impact, and that relationship is the next piece almost nobody explains. This is the adjustment that took my drives from 218 to 251 yards, because I finally understood that curve comes from face angle relative to path, not face angle alone. Ball flight laws confirmed through modern launch monitor research show the ball starts mostly toward where the face points at impact, then curves based on the gap between face and path. If your path is 2 degrees inside out, but your face is 6 degrees open to target, the ball starts slightly right and curves hard right, even though your path was good. This confuses so many golfers because they blame their path when the real issue is a face 4 degrees open relative to that path. A fix then isn't always about swinging more inside out. Sometimes it's closing the face a few degrees relative to your existing path. Here's the concrete fix. Get a lesson with a launch monitor that shows face and path separately. Even one session, roughly $60 to $90 at most indoor golf simulator facilities, the kind you'll find in strip malls near Chicago or Minneapolis during winter months, will show you your actual numbers instead of guessing. The common mistake is golfers spending months changing their swing path when a 3-degree grip adjustment at the hands would have closed the face and fixed the ball flight in one range session. Once I saw my numbers on a GC3 and adjusted my grip 2 degrees stronger, my face-to-path gap shrank from 5 degrees to 1, and the miss turned into a gentle draw overnight. Even with face and path dialed in, your tee height can still be sabotaging your numbers, and that's a far simpler fix most golfers overlook completely. Look, I'll be straight with you. If today's video hit home, then the Golfer's Bible is your next step. It's the full edition with 101 course-tested fixes, laid out page by page so you can find your exact miss and fix it fast. Right now, you'll also get the second book completely free, the Score Drop Roadmap, a simple plan to turn those fixes into lower scores. You've got a limited window before your next round, so don't waste another weekend guessing. Link in the description, QR code on screen. Fewer excuses, better rounds, that's the trade. Grab a tee and check this simple thing. When your driver rests on the ground behind the ball, does at least half the ball sit above the top edge, the crown of the club head? Most amateurs tee the ball too low, closer to iron height, which encourages the descending strike we've been trying to eliminate since tip 2. Golf Laboratories testing on driver tee height, cited frequently in club fitting circles, found that teeing the ball so roughly half sits above the crown increases the odds of a positive upward attack angle by a wide margin, versus teeing low, where more of the ball sits at or below the crown line. A helpful comparison. Teeing height should look like the ball is resting on top of a stack of 2/4 relative to the club head, not buried down near a nickel's height. The common mistake is using the same tee height as when playing a 3-wood or hybrid off the tee, which trains a lower, more descending swing thought that doesn't belong with driver, the kind of low-punched shot you'd need under the wind on a links course like St. Andrew's Old Course, but never off a modern tee box. Try this on your next range visit. Bring 3 tee heights, low, medium, and this higher setting, and hit 5 balls at each, tracking distance if you can. Even rough visual carry distance to range markers works. You'll likely see the higher tee produce a more penetrating, longer ball flight with less spin. Since a driver spinning near 2,000 RPM rather than 300 RPM carries considerably farther. Tee height means nothing, though, if your weight is stuck on your front foot at impact, undoing the very upward strike you just set up. At address, your weight should sit close to 50-50, maybe even a touch more on your trail foot, around 55%, to support that upward angle of attack we've built through tee height and spine tilt. But by the time you reach impact, biomechanics research from the Titleist Performance Institute shows tour average weight distribution shifts to roughly 80 to 90% on the lead foot, meaning a real, aggressive shift toward target happens in the downswing, not a static sway. The common mistake is either staying too far back through impact, called hanging back, causing thin or weak shots, or sliding the hips laterally without rotating, causing shanks and inconsistent contact, the sort of miss that turns a wide fairway at a course like Torrey Pines in San Diego into a tight, nerve-wracking target. A good checkpoint. At your finish position, almost all your weight should rest on your lead foot, with your trail heel up and trail toe barely touching the ground, like you're stepping toward the target. Try this drill. Place a golf glove or towel under your trail heel at address, then focus on that heel lifting naturally as you swing through, forcing the weight transfer to happen rather than staying stuck. I used to hang back on nearly every drive, and my launch monitor showed inconsistent smash factor, some shots at 1.48, others barely 1.35, when tour average smash factor with a driver sits near 1.50. Fixing the weight shift alone brought my smash factor consistency up within 2 range sessions. Even with the perfect shift, though, gripping down the handle out of fear shortens your radius and costs speed before impact even happens. Check your hands on the grip right now. Are they gripping down an inch or two from the very end? The butt cap of the club? A lot of golfers do this instinctively for control, but it quietly costs distance. Because club head speed is directly tied to the radius of your swing, the distance from your center of rotation out to the club head. Physics here is simple and well documented in swing dynamics research from equipment engineers. Longer radius at a given rotational speed produces faster club head speed, similar to how a longer wrench gives more use turning a stubborn bolt. Choking down just 1 inch on a driver, which typically measures around 45.5 inches, can cost 1 to 2 mph of clubhead speed, and every 1 mph is worth roughly 2.5 yards of carry. So, an inch of choke down could be quietly costing 3 to 5 yards for no real gain in accuracy, and studies on off-center strikes from the Titleist Performance Institute found grip length changes had minimal effect on dispersion for most mid to high handicap golfers. The common mistake is choking down out of fear after a bad drive, treating the driver like it needs control the way a wedge does. But a driver is built for a full, free swing, not a controlled poke, the kind of confident full swing you'd want standing on the elevated tee at Pinehurst number 2 in North Carolina. Try gripping all the way to the butt end, maybe leaving just a half inch, roughly the width of your pinky finger, showing above your top hand, and swing with full comfort rather than caution. Full grip length won't save a misfit driver though, and shaft flex is the final piece most golfers never even think to check. Here's something wild. 2 golfers with nearly identical swing speeds can get completely different distance and accuracy results from the same driver head, purely because of shaft flex mismatch. Shaft engineering data from manufacturers like True Temper, drawn from decades of fitting research, shows that a shaft too stiff for your swing speed tends to produce lower spin, but also lower launch, and often a weak, right-leaning miss for slower swingers, while a shaft too flexible for a fast swinger produces excess spin and a ballooning, short shot that leaks left. A rough guideline used by many certified fitters. Swing speeds under 90 mph often fit best into regular or senior flex, 90 to 105 mph into stiff, and above 105 mph into extra stiff, though this varies with tempo and transition force, not speed alone. The common mistake is buying a driver off the rack based on what a longer hitting friend uses, or assuming stiffer always means better and more pro-like, when a mismatched stiff shaft can cost a slower swinger 10 to 15 yards of carry compared to properly fit flex. Get a swing speed reading. Many golf shops and simulator lounges, including several near Scottsdale's busy winter golf season, offer free radar readings in under 2 minutes, and use that number as your starting point rather than ego. I switched from a stiff shaft to a regular flex after learning my swing speed sat at 89 mph, not the 100 plus I assumed, and my spin dropped from 3200 to 2000 RPM, adding 11 yards instantly on the same swing. All 13 of these pieces, alignment, ball position, spine tilt, grip pressure, routine, practice swing, grip shape, path, face to path, tee height, weight shift, grip length, and shaft flex work as one connected chain, and missing even one undoes the rest. Here's the truth most golfers never hear. Distance off the tee was never about swinging harder. It was about removing 13 small leaks that were quietly bleeding speed and accuracy out of a swing you already had inside you. Every fitting number, every drill, every checkpoint we covered today exists in golfers who already hit it 250 plus. They just stopped fighting their own setup long enough to let it happen. What comes next is putting a number on your own swing, a real launch monitor session, because guessing which of these 13 apply to you is the same mistake that kept me stuck at 218 yards for 4 seasons. The golfer who hits it long and straight is not stronger than you. They have just fixed more leaks than you have, one at a time, in order.